Well, this is Jody Meyer, Chair of the Historic Resources Commission. It is now 6 p.m. So I think I will go ahead and call to order the December 16th meeting. Avery, do you want to do the preliminary?
Yes, thank you. Good evening and welcome to the December 16th, 2021 Historic Resources Commission meeting. My name is Avery Kerner and I will be facilitating the Zoom video portion of the meeting tonight. Joining me here in the room is Lynn Braddock-Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. We will work alongside the chair, who is on remote video, to facilitate the meeting proceedings. Tonight's meeting is being recorded and broadcast live on the city's YouTube channel and cable channel 25. During the meeting, when you are not speaking, please mute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon. This will make it easier for everyone to hear the meeting. When you are not participating during the meeting, please also turn your video camera off by clicking the video icon. This will allow the active meeting participants to be seen on screen. When you are participating in the meeting, please keep your video on. Commissioners and staff must state their name and title each time they speak. We also ask that applicants and members of the public state their names each time before they speak to ensure that everyone is able to follow along. When public comment is sought on an item, individuals participating via Zoom should use the raise your hand feature. Individuals will be called upon by name in the order they appear on the meeting host screen. When you are called on, please unmute yourself and state your name before speaking. The chair will then call for in-person public comment for those who are physically present. After a motion is made and seconded, the chair will call on each commissioner individually to provide their vote. The chair will then announce whether the motion carried and the count of that vote. And with that, I'll turn the meeting back over to the chair.
Thank you. This is Jody Meyer, Chair. I will go ahead and take roll call tonight. Commissioner Irby.
Commissioner Irby here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Commissioner Johnson here.
Commissioner Ezell, I do not believe is here. Oh, yes, he is here.
Commissioner Ezell is here.
Commissioner Buchanan Young.
Present.
Commissioner Foster.
I'm here.
Commissioner Hawley.
I believe that's it.
Hawley's here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, the Win Robotic present.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners Meyer is here, so we are playing with a full deck tonight. All right. We will proceed with the agenda items this evening. First up is communications. Do we have any communications from other commissions, the State Historic Preservation Officer, or the general public?
Lynn Braddock-Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. You have no communications this evening.
This is Chair Meyer again. Thank you. Do we have any disclosure of ex parte communications this evening from commissioners? I do not believe there are any. Is there any declaration of abstentions for specific agenda items by commissioners this evening?
This is Commissioner Foster. I was not present for the meeting that the meeting summary is up for approval for this evening, so I will be abstaining from that vote.
Okay. All right, I don't hear any others. So we'll move on then to committee reports. Are there any committee reports?
Lynn Braddock-Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. You did have one committee meeting, and that was the Architectural Review Committee. That item is on your full agenda this evening, so we can wait and have the ARC members speak to that committee meeting when you have that agenda item.
All right, this is Chair Meyer again. Thank you. We will then move on to our consent agenda action summaries. We have need to consider approval of the action summary from our November 18th meeting.
This is Commissioner Irby. I was also not present at that meeting, so I'll also abstain from this.
Okay, this is Chair Meyer. Thank you. Is there a motion pending on this item?
Commissioner Johnson, I move for approval.
Okay, is there a
Commissioner Buchanan Young, second.
Chair Meyer again? There's been a motion and a second, so we'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ezell,
Aye.
Commissioner Buchanan Young.
Aye.
Commissioner Hawley,
I,
and Commissioner Meyer is an aye, so that motion carries 5 in favor, 2 abstaining. All right, the next item on the agenda is administrative approvals. There are design review applications which have been administratively reviewed and approved. Lynn, I just want to make sure there isn't anybody who wanted public comment regarding those administrative approvals. Are there?
This is Avery Kerner, planning staff. There is nobody present in the commission chambers or online wanting to speak on these items.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion on this item by commission members? And if not, is there a motion?
This is Commissioner Buchanan. I move that we approve the administrative approvals as presented.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Foster. I will second that.
This is Chair Meyer. There's been a motion and a second to confirm the design review applications. We'll go ahead and take a roll call vote. Commissioner Irby,
Commissioner Irby, aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Ezell,
Aye.
Commissioner Buchanan Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Hawley,
I,
and Commissioner Meyer is also an aye, so that motion carries 7-0. All right, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is general public comment. Is there any general public comment this evening, Avery?
This is Avery Kerner, planning staff. We do not have anyone present wishing to provide public comment.
And this is Chair Meyer. We will then move on to the next item, which is our public hearing items. There's one public hearing item tonight, which is DR 21-326, 816 Rhode Island Street.
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. This is DR-21-00326 for 816 Rhode Island Street. It's rehabilitation and a new addition. It is a state law review. It's important to note that this property is listed in the National Register of Historic Places as a contributing structure to the North Rhode Island Street Historic Residential District. This is the project location. You'll see in the box in the center of the screen, the red is the historic district. This is the existing structure. We'll just look at a few elevations and interior photos. Just walking around the structure. The interior of the structure has been completely gutted, so not a lot to show on the interior. There is a brick wall that's remaining. And this is the main elevation of the existing structure. At your meeting on October 21st, the Historic Resources Commission reviewed the request for a demolition of a portion of the structure and an addition for the remaining portion of the structure. After review and consideration, the Historic Resources Commission referred the application to the Architectural Review Committee to work with the applicant on design of the new addition to better meet the applicable standards and guidelines while achieving the applicant's goal. And this is showing an elevation of what was shown at that October 21st meeting. And a rendering of that design that was proposed at that October 21st meeting. The Architectural Review Committee met on November 4th, 2021. At that meeting, the applicant presented several design approaches for the new addition. The Architectural Review Committee members worked with the applicant using these designs to outline options that could be supported by the ARC. The applicant submitted a final design on November 29th, 2021. This final design was forwarded to members of the ARC to affirm that the design was consistent with what was outlined in the Architectural Review Committee meeting on November 4th. Overall, the ARC members were of the opinion that the revised plan is consistent with what was discussed at the ARC meeting. However, there was concern about the use of vertical siding on the new addition. And this is showing the site plan for the proposed project. The primary or the west elevation. Looking at the side, this is the south elevation. This is showing the north elevation. And then the rear or the east elevation. The applicant provided some renderings. So this is the view from the sidewalk along Rhode Island Street. This is looking back from the southeast. The applicant also provided a line of sight drawing to show how the second story addition would be visible from the public right-of-way. If you'll notice, there are lines from the adjacent sidewalk and then also from across the street, showing how much of that second story will be visible. This is showing the view from across the street. And then the applicant provided some renderings. This is that primary or west elevation. And then the rear elevation. And then an angled view looking at the front and that south side. The garage, a new garage, is also part of this application. Staff also reviewed the project as proposed in the November 29th drawings. The proposed design is in keeping with the discussion at the Architectural Review Committee meeting. However, staff continues to have concern about the design of the addition. The new design does reduce the overall height of the addition. The addition will continue to be a large mass attached to a simple vernacular structure. The overall mass of the addition when reviewed with the existing listed structure is large and may not meet standard 9 for compatibility. The proposed flat roof helps to reduce the overall height of the addition, but flat roofs for the main portion of primary structures are not typical for the district. The context of the site can be considered when reviewing height and mass of the structure. The structure to the north is 2 stories in height. The structure to the south is 1.5 stories in height. The structure to the south also has a large side addition. Overall, the design as proposed in the November 29th drawings helps to mitigate the height and the mass of the structure. The greatest concern for staff is the proposed chimney on the 1-story portion of the south elevation. This design element is extremely out of character for the district and does not meet standard 9 for compatibility with the historic structure or the historic district. Staff is of the opinion that this feature should be removed from the project. Overall, the addition as proposed in November 29th drawings better meets the applicable standards and guidelines for the historic district. The addition has been simplified and the overall height of the addition has been reduced and mitigated. Staff can recommend approval of the project with removal of the chimney and change in the vertical siding material on the addition. If the chimney is maintained as part of the design, staff cannot recommend approval of the project. And I'd be happy to stand for any questions you may have.
This is Chair Meyer. Is the applicant present?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Chris Cunningham from CT Design. Thanks for having me. Glad you all survived the windstorm last night and are in the comfort of your own homes or car, maybe, I guess. Lynn, thank you for your detailed report and description of the project. I think that's accurate and, I guess precisely describes where we've been and what we've done. Since the beginning of this project, we've gone through several different design iterations and really, trying to get it so that it gets to the point where, we think it works and it hits the hot buttons, for the design standards. And, I think that, we really want to make this happen. And, a couple more years, this isn't, a project that will probably, be able to happen because the building is, in poor shape. It's severely dilapidated, but, we recognize that it's, it's a very important piece to the fabric of, the historic district. And, we want to make that, we want to improve it. We want to make it viable for, the next generation. I think this design, it hits the program points and, makes it a home that, can serve, modern families. And, I think that the chimney, while it's a design element, it's a functional design element. It's the center of that room. It's the focal point. I'm not intending or proposing that we do a gas fireplace and this is, some chimney that, we're just venting. I want to do an authentic, wood burning fireplace because, there's charm and, it's the hearth. It's the main focal point of that living space. And, I want it to be that. I think that, I think this is, we've, after reviewing and, seeing the comments, we understand, the issues at hand. We've, looked at different iterations without the fireplace or the chimney and, looked at, different siding and, we really like it as it is and, really hope that, you will see the benefit in this project, for the district, for the community, and just really hope that you'll approve it tonight as it is. So I guess with that, that's kind of my thoughts on it. So happy to answer any questions.
Chair Meyer, thank you, Chris. Avery and Lynn, is there any public comment on this?
With Avery Kerner, planning staff, I do not see anybody raising their hand to speak.
Chair Meyer, thank you. We'll bring it back to the commission for discussion then.
This is Commissioner Foster. I was present for the ARC discussion, and it was an active, lengthy one, and I think very productive. Pleased with what Chris has come back with. I think he really listened to the group and responded well. Appreciate staff's comments as well. I think what we are being presented is a respectful but also interesting composition that works as a backdrop to a pretty darn simple historic structure. And I think it's sort of a small miracle that it can be rehabilitated and transformed into a more relevant, I guess, single family home am inclined to support the proposal as submitted, without the qualifications that staff has suggested in the report.
This is Commissioner Buchanan. I've got a question to the applicant regarding the fireplace. Is there a way to decrease the chimney height at all?
Hi, Brenna. We need to look at that, I guess, a little closer. I know that we have to be, above a certain height so far away from the nearest roof. I think we're 10 feet away, so that gives us some leeway on the height. I guess the other part of that fireplace is we want to have a fireplace on the roof. So it's two-sided, and I think right now we've got it at 6-8 feet above that roof, and we also want to make sure that the embers are up and clear, and so I don't think we can reduce it much more. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Buchanan. I get it. Would there be any consideration of compromising and not having the fireplace on the second story to be able to reduce kind of the stone kind of, random stone wall that keeps just kind of going to the sky?
It's not that tall. No, I get it. I think, we can look at it. I think there's also a safety aspect there too. Just if it wasn't just serving, if it was just serving the lower level, so I think we can do some research on it and I guess come back with that. We actually did kind of walk the neighborhood, and there are some prominent chimneys on, some houses, there on Rhode Island, and, there are some stone ones and there's some brick ones. And so, while it is, it's a cool design element and it's a great feature, I think, for that space. So, but I'd certainly be willing to look at that closer and make sure that, we're okay from a safety standpoint.
This is Commissioner Buchanan. Thank you. I do want to say, I do feel like you responded exceptionally well to the ARC feedback. I'm very pleased with what you presented for tonight. And I too will support this. I think a conversation could be had about the height of the chimney. If there's a compromise, great. If not, I'm going to support it as submitted.
Hi, this is Commissioner Johnson, and this is my first foray to making a comment. So I guess hopefully you'll give me some grace if I bumble into something that I shouldn't be. But I went out and looked around the neighborhood, and at least what's closest to this building are red brick chimneys. The existing historic building does have a red brick wall. So I would think that red brick would make sense. Also, the chimneys that are nearby are internal to the home and not external. I mean, you don't see the side of the chimney exposed. And so what would make it, for me, fit in with the neighborhood would be the changing the siding, and then having the chimney be red brick, or the chimney could be enclosed in siding to where then you just have the red brick at the top, similar to the houses nearby. So I think there's a couple of tweaks that could be made to where it looks more like the neighborhood than what's being proposed right at the moment. And if this has been proposed at the ARC or at the last meeting, I apologize, but this is where I'm stepping into the conversation.
This is Chair Meyer. Lynn, could you explain, I guess, the issues with the chimney? Like if it was something like Bonnie just stated, would that be more palatable?
Lynn Braddock-Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. I have not really reviewed any alternatives other than what the applicant has proposed, but internal chimney would be more appropriate for the neighborhood. I believe there's stone and brick in the neighborhood, but brick is certainly the most dominant material for chimneys in the neighborhood. If the chimney were internal and not as an end cap, that might change staff's opinion. But as it's designed right now, staff cannot support the chimney as part of the design.
This is Chair Meyer. Chris, yeah.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I lost you there for a second.
Sorry about that. Yeah, this is Chair Meyer. Have you given any thought to what Commissioner Johnson and Lynn just discussed in terms of, I guess, hiding the chimney from the exterior?
No. Well, yes, in that, no, it's not something that I want to do. You know, I think it does go back to the design of the structure. You know, I think there are precedents, you know, and of chimneys that are outbound. You know, I think what you find normally in, you know, the neighborhood with the kind of inbound chimneys, those were primarily wood stoves, and, you know, they were used for that, you know, for heating. You know, I think when you have a chimney that is wood burning, it's almost always on that outside wall, and, you know, it is, you know, outside the structure for, you know, that very reason that it is a wood burning stove, or wood burning fireplace, excuse me. So I hadn't really considered brick, just because, you know, I love stone. I think that, you know, to me, that's a really authentic, you know, material. It's, you know, we're going to use an indigenous limestone, you know, cottonwood, you know, something that's, you know, you would find, you know, in structures, you know, of the period. So, so I think that, yeah, so I'd like to keep it, you know, as a stone externally placed fireplace and chimney.
If this is Commissioner Foster, I would suspect there would be a lot of exposed stone foundations in the general area, for sure. Not an uncommon material.
Well, but this is Commissioner Johnson. The building that's there and that's historic has red brick, and there's red brick around it. And red brick is authentic to this area as well, and is nice and cozy like stone.
This is Commissioner Foster. I think both materials are certainly valid materials for this district. And so in that case, I'm going to defer to the applicant who's proposing the design and building the building.
You know, and I guess I'll address that too. The existing foundation for the building is limestone. So, you know, and we're keeping the limestone, you know, fieldstone foundation, and we're going to rehab that and type point it, you know, where needed, so that remains. So, you know, I think that also is, you know, helps blend, you know, the stone of the existing structure with the fireplace or chimney.
This is Commissioner Buchanan, where I hear your sentiment of brick, but I do think there's a valid point of purpose to the materials in which it was used. So you would see those exterior fireplaces out of stone. They're usually a little earlier. And again, it was a true wood burning fireplace, not just a chimney for a wood burning stove, which is different. So I do like how the proposed is using a stone, either veneer or actual stone full masonry chimney, because it's more honest in its expression of its function.
This is Commissioner Irby. So I'm going to defer to staff when they say that it's out of character for the neighborhood. And as I read the standard 9, it says this, the standards will be applied except for economic or technical reasons. And this sounds aesthetic. So I'm inclined to not approve.
This is Chair Meyer. I think I would agree with Kelly on that. I mean, this is a contributing structure to the district, to the historic district. I mean, so I am going to err on the side of firmly holding to those standards when it's a contributing structure. So that's my position.
This is Commissioner Hawley. I'd be interested in any further conversation. I will say that I'm leaning toward approval as is, with either stone or brick. Both seem compatible. I will concede that it's not the stone or outboard nature of the chimney itself that seems out of character that gives me any pause, but the height, and because of the roof deck, that does seem more anomalous to the neighborhood. But I'm leaning toward approval. If the applicant did want to, were there any further studies, I would suggest, now this would be a tweak, but there might be possibilities of having an outboard chimney, but if you moved it closer to the main structure, where you could potentially even have a double-sided fireplace on the level 1, that might alleviate some of the concerns while being a thoroughly modern and outboard item. But that might alleviate some of the concerns mentioned, but that is not for us to dictate. That is for yours. Ultimately it comes down to the applicant. I'm just making an aside. As I said, I'm leaning toward approval as is.
This is Commissioner Buchanan again. I really like your idea of possibly moving the fireplace. So I thought if you move it to the back corner, that way you could have a double all the way through on the main floor, outdoors and indoors. That way you still get an outdoor and indoor fireplace, but it's on the first floor instead of the second. Possibly lower the height, kind of stick it in the corner so it's a little less protruding. I don't want to complicate things, but I do want to see if that's an option.
So I appreciate, the comments and, suggestions for moving in the fireplace. I think that the easy thing would be to, get rid of it. I don't want to do that. I could go really simple and, get rid of the fireplace, the chimney. Well, I guess get rid of the chimney and the stone and, do a modern fireplace with the double line, stainless steel, vent pipe, that comes out of the roof. And, that is, that's a real modern kind of way to do it. I mean, because, this could be a stainless steel insert and, but I want to do this right, and I want to do it, authentic. And, again, there are pictures, or I guess, I'm sorry, there are fireplaces, in the district that are stone and, outboard and, and there are brick ones. I like stone better, and I think it will look better on this design. I'm happy to, look at the height, but, again, I think that we have to make sure that, the fireplace works. You need a, correct draw, And, so those are things that some things are just innate, with the design of a fireplace. And, you need that height so it works and vents, so, thank you.
Mr. Chair Meyer again, is there any more discussion? Sorry, Chad, thought you were going to say something exciting.
Well, I was going to give a pause for more discussion because I was going to make a motion. I think we've heard from 6 members, kind of an even split at this point. Interestingly enough, the 3 members of the ARC that were present at the ARC meeting where we discussed in detail this design for probably an hour, and then the 3 remaining members or 3 other members of the commission that weren't present. So sort of a unique situation that I personally don't think I've experienced. So I'm going to go ahead and see what happens. I'm going to make a motion to approve the design as submitted without the qualifications of the staff report. But now I'm realizing I'm at a bit of a loss because I am obviously on a phone in a car and I don't have the motion material in front of me. But I guess my motion would be to approve the design and find that it does not damage or destroy the environs nor the property itself, being a contributing structure. And that's not the right language, I am quite certain.
This is Commissioner Ezell. I second the motion.
Okay, this is Chair Meyer again. I think that there is a motion that in accordance with the Secretary of Interior standards, the standards of evaluation, that the project does not damage or destroy any historic property included in the National Register of Historic Places or the Register of Historic Kansas Places. And I think there's been a second to that. So since there's been
this is Commissioner Foster, and I gladly accept that amendment.
Okay. Since there's been a motion and a second, we will go ahead and take a roll call vote. Commissioner Irby?
Commissioner Irby is a nay.
Commissioner Johnson?
Commissioner Johnson is no.
Commissioner Ezell?
Aye.
Commissioner Buchanan Young?
Aye.
Commissioner Foster?
Yes.
Commissioner Hawley?
Aye.
And Commissioner Meyer is also a nay. The motion does carry on a 4-3 vote. Good luck with your project.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, Chair Meyer again. Next item on the agenda is miscellaneous items. Do we have any miscellaneous items?
Lynn Braddock Zollner, Historic Resources Administrator. There are no miscellaneous matters from staff.
Chair Meyer, does anyone else have any other miscellaneous items? No. All right, since there's no miscellaneous items, then I will move that we adjourn for the evening. Have a good holiday, everyone.